Michael,
Hey, Ricky, how you doing?
I am doing fantastic, my friend. How are you?
I'm doing good. I had a good friend who wrote me a letter, and I'm really proud of him.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he spent some time in college, and I'm real proud of him.
Okay.
He's he got him. He went to college, and I'm real proud of him. Kid, he got VD, so I'm really
W- He wait. He got
hmm,
what?
VD. I'm proud of him.
I-
He's been in college for 4 years. He worked really hard, and then spent another years in college, and he came out of it with BD, and I think that was, I mean, it's difficult to get a degree in veterinarian, and so I thought, I'm proud of him. He's worked really hard. He loves animals. And so he has that VD that he can tell people about, and he'll get more animals, and hopefully people can feel comfortable with their animals with a guy has VD. So I think that's
I
I think
I don't think you want to call that VD.
what do you call it? It's veterinarian degree,
Yeah, I think that's probably better.
that or STD, which is like a surgical dental theologian. And that's a whole
That
different course. That's a different course. So
yeah, I
he
don't
either were
think you
going to
want
do VD or STD, and he loves animals, so he ended up wanting to get VD. So that's how he decided to
to.
do that.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
This is the Speaking Nerdy podcast with your host, Mr. Mike Schilling.
And my friend and compadre, Mr. Ricky Poe. It was really hard. I was trying to think of something else with the T, and theologian kept coming to my mind, and I'm thinking, can I think of anything else? So let's break this down. STD. I said surgical dental theologian. What could I do with the T? Can you think of? I don't know. It
I
has to
don't know.
flow. Anyway, specialize.
I don't want to know
Uh,
about STDs flowing
yeah, that's true.
or VD flowing.
I think we should get off this topic because I don't know if this. I don't know if YouTube will. I don't know if this is one of the 10-second rules that you can't say. I don't know. So we
10 words you can't say
10,
on YouTube.
Yeah, the 10 words you can't say on YouTube within the 10 seconds of an opening. That was last week's show, folks. Check that out.
Oh my gosh.
So tonight we're going to talk about, instead of VD and STDs, we're going to talk about the Mandalorian trailer for season 3. It looks good. There's
yes,
a lot.
if you haven't seen it yet, pause this.
Yes.
Go watch it and come back.
Watch it. Yeah, come back. It's not very long, but we do have a warning now. If you haven't seen any of the Mandalorian, this will be a it will be a spoiler, so exactly. That was your warning.
Your spoiler warning.
That's it. So speaking of spoilers, do we have any news? Anything new going on?
Not exactly. Well, a couple things are new.
Yeah.
One thing's not really new, but it's kind of a big deal that they're trying to make. So Avatar, The Way of Water.
Yes. Okay.
Is like owning the box office for like the 6th weekend. It's crazy. But mostly probably because there's really not anything all that great up against it. It just passed the 2 billion mark worldwide box office.
2 billion.
So 2 billion. Right now that puts it in I believe 6th place for the highest grossing films ever.
Yeah.
And that's pretty amazing. Especially since it's only been out for like a month and a half.
Yeah.
So doing really well, but interestingly enough, if you go back and you look at the critic reviews, even the positive critic reviews, most of them say it's a spectacle and it looks amazing, but that the story there's not much story there.
Gotcha.
So So I don't know how it's making that much, but it is still killing it at the box office. I bet it ends up being second or third largest gross ever.
That's amazing. I mean, the first one when it came out is pretty. I mean, it was the first time. Well, the first time, at least the. I mean, we've already had 3D, but this was a different type of 3D. They were experimenting
Yeah.
when it came out. It was kind of a digital 3D. I don't know. I mean, back in the 50s, they had the glasses, but the
Yeah.
little red but I mean, this was totally different. I mean, this is you had
They were
yeah.
testing out some high-end technology, and it was just the beginning. I mean, it's come so far since the first one.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So
So
another little odd bit of information
mm-hmm.
is that Disney Channel has announced that the animated series Phineas and Ferb is coming back
Oh,
for 40 new episodes.
I love Phineas and Ferb.
Phineas and Ferb was a great show. My
Yeah.
kids loved Phineas and Ferb, and it's coming back.
Yeah.
Dan Pavelmeyer is the guy who created Phineas and Ferb.
Nice.
He is the voice of Doofenshmirtz, Dr. Doofenshmirtz.
Oh, I love him. Yeah.
And I've been actually following him on TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
So he did announce that they're coming back. The announcements are saying there's going to be 40 episodes, probably released in 2 seasons.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have a date yet, but sometime later this year, probably.
40 episodes. That's good.
I know,
mean,
that's pretty exciting.
When my kids when my kids lost interest in the show, me and Tiffany, we still, when everybody went to bed, we watched it. So because we loved it.
Pavelmeyer said, "It has been the greatest pleasure of my career to see how an entire generation of kids and parents have embraced the characters and the humor of Phineas and Ferb."
I think so. You go.
Yeah.
I like Phineas and Ferb because they entertain adults as well as kids, and they don't talk down to kids. So I think it's a good blend, a very good blend.
I think so too. This last bit of news, it's not so much nerdy, as it's a little nostalgic for me.
Oh,
so Night Court is back on the air.
I know.
Night Court has they released 2 episodes this week, and 2 mixed reviews, even from me. I watched both episodes, and my wife and I were both watching it. The first episode, I was kind of like, not sure this is going to work.
Exactly.
The second episode we watched was probably like, I don't know, halfway through, 2/3 of the way through.
Mm-hmm.
I was questioning, I'm not sure this is going to be a thing. And then like the last 5 or 10 minutes, I was like, okay, that was kind of funny. That kind of worked. That felt a little more like old Night Court.
Night Court, yeah.
So I'm hoping that maybe they just haven't gotten into their stride.
I'll get in the groove. I mean, it's a different cast. I mean, I know
it's a different cast.
Except John Larroquette is in it. I hadn't seen it. Now, where are you streaming this from?
I actually watched it on network TV.
Okay, hold on. What is network TV? I don't know this thing. So you mean Netflix, Hulu,
this is like regular, like ABC, CBS, NBC.
Yeah, I mean like Hulu and Paramount, CBS, and so Peacock, NBC. So again, which service did you watch this from?
It just comes to your TV through an antenna.
You got to be kidding me. When did this happen?
But only once a week.
Really? You can't totally just binge it?
No binging.
Oh,
you have to wait.
Yeah, that's never going to work.
We'll see how it turns out. They're playing it. If you haven't seen any of it or haven't heard about it, they are playing it as though the daughter of Harry has now become a judge, and she is now taking over where Harry left off. being the New York night court judge. And for those who are big fans of Big Bang Theory, the character, the actress that portrays Bernadette on the Big Bang Theory is the new judge.
That's where I've seen her before. Okay.
Yep. And she's not bad. She does a good job, I think. The rest of the crew, I'm a little questionable on. The new bailiff isn't bad, but she's a little over the top.
Yeah.
It's a little overacting in my opinion.
Okay.
I think the character could work if they dialed her acting back a little bit.
Yeah. I think they should take I think they should take a cue from the original show.
Yeah.
Look at what worked, because I think it would still work today.
I think so.
In some parts. I mean, I haven't seen it. I like to talk about it more. I like to watch it. And because I'm curious about John Larroquette's character. We won't talk about it tonight, but but it seemed in the trailer, it seems like, Dan Fielding's kind of evolved from the kind of person he was in the early days.
Yes. Dan Larroquette's character, Fielding, is going to take a little bit different role in this show. So if you don't want to go into it any further, then we won't. I won't do too big spoilers, but suffice it to say, he had to be coaxed back into the fold.
Yes, I kind of had the feel of that. And in the trailer, she mentioned something to him, and he mentioned, I guess he was married and he lost his wife.
Yes.
And from my understanding, and so it was kind of maybe a different side of him. I don't know. But
yeah,
I haven't seen it.
That's where we're trying to go. We'll see if we get there.
We'll see what happens.
My big thing is, if Brent Spiner doesn't show back up.
I love that. Yes.
If Brent Spiner doesn't come back, I will be disappointed. I would love to see some of the old defendants
that would be great.
now famous come back. I think that would be great. I think that would be some cool nostalgia.
Yeah.
It could be fun to play around with.
If you don't, I looked for it because I was trying to look for Night Court, and of course, again, I didn't realize they have such a thing called network broadcast. So I was looking on the different streaming services. And so I looked in Amazon Prime. If you're a Prime member, has the original series of Night Court on there.
Oh, does it really?
So that's gonna be my new binge. I'm gonna watch that. That might even be a show. That might be a show just for us. That's all I'm saying. So
it might be.
Who cares?
But I do want to see Brent Spiner come back as Bob Wheeler.
I do too. I do too.
I think that would be hysterical.
Also on the news too, on a good note, Jeremy Renner, he's back home from the hospital.
Oh, good to hear. I had not heard that yet.
I don't, sounds like he's recovering well, so I'm not for sure, I don't know much more than that, but he has returned home, so that's a good thing. That's a good sign. So,
that's a good sign. Not being in the hospital is a good sign.
Exactly. It is. So, yeah. So, so I can't think of anything else. I know that
I don't have anything else.
Yeah, I don't either. So I think what we should do before we get to the show, why don't we go ahead and try some stupid news, see if we can succeed tonight.
It's the Weird and Stupid News with your host, Mr. Mike Schilling.
Man, stupid news. 2023 is not letting us down. I can just tell you that right now.
Nice. It's good to know things don't change.
Yeah, it's a good thing. Well, Florida sheriff.
I was waiting for it. I was waiting for the word Florida to come out of your mouth.
Oh, that's right.
You said things haven't changed, and my thought was, it better be Florida. It better be Florida. It better be Florida. Yes.
Two people in Florida were arrested after one of them made a 911 call to get help with moving their belongings from a home that they were burglarizing.
They called 911 to help move things. But what they were really doing was stealing things.
Exactly. Deputies responded.
That's brilliant.
Deputies responded to a home Saturday after a 911 call was made by nobody actually. At the home, the deputies concluded that nobody lived there, but they found a male suspect and his girlfriend inside the home after entering it through an unlocked door. Deputies had been searching for the male and suspect after identifying them from security video as a burglar at the Dollar General store in Pocasana, Florida, where several items were stolen earlier in the day. While talking to deputies, the female suspect told them that she had called 911 for the purpose of having law enforcement help them move the belongings from their house they were burglarizing. They also wanted to get a ride to the airport. To the airport so they could spend the weekend in New York, sheriff offices said. The deputies did help them with their belongings.
Oh, I bet they helped them.
And did give them a ride, but it wasn't to the airport. Facebook page of the police department said it was to the Pokey Pokey, the sheriff's office said in a Facebook post, and they are welcome to stay there all weekend long.
Nice.
Very nice. Social media does not disappoint. And of course, this is another instant where social media entertains.
Okay.
The internet can bring a lot of emotion. We know social media, you can scroll down and you can get, all kinds of heartwarming videos of people showering kindness to one another, funny videos, random events that you've never seen before, that
cats and dogs loving on each other.
Exactly. Social media magic. Well, may I present to you the blanket that has broke the minds of the most acclaimed psychiatrists and left millions speechless. A soon-to-be artifact that may one day be spoken of as the Mona Lisa. Ladies and gentlemen, it is the poop blanket.
Oh.
Now they don't call it the poop blanket. I don't know how you can pronounce the word, but anyway,
we can't use that word.
We can't use that word.
We'll never be monetized.
That's right. That's right. Like we have a chance in heck anyhow. So anyway, but this TikToker pooped and knitted her way into making a play on the trending temperature blanket. I don't know if you heard of the temperature blanket. The temperature blanket. It's the idea behind these blankets is that crocheters add a line of yarn each day based on the weather outside. Ideally, they left, it's a deal where they basically, when they're done, they have a multicolor blanket of many wonders.
Okay.
Now, but our TikToker, however, had a different idea. She decided to track her bowel movements throughout the year by taking the same concept used for the temperature blanket and introduced the poop blanket.
Okay.
The mind behind the blanket explained her reasoning for how she was to come to make this. She said one row a day in which the color of the yarn was determined by the number of poops that she took the previous day.
Okay.
The texture also from the texture of her poop determines the stitch.
Oh.
Yes, the TikToker documented her progress throughout the course of creation. As days went by, she continued to use the restroom and her crocheting hook to invent her masterpiece. In 50 days, in a 50-day update, she shared what her and and the blanket had been up to. And after her update in March, the TikToker began to gain supporters in her endeavors, and her fans appropriately deemed themselves as poop heads. That's right, and supported the creator's
Oh,
madness with enthusiasm to spare. In her most recent update, posted the blanket nearly spanning the length of her entire living room was filled with many different color and stitching variations.
poop of many colors.
She said, I finished my poop blanket. And she said in her final video, the display was hard work, explaining that it's like a temperature blanket, but disgusting. And that is stupid news.
Oh my gosh. This has been the Weird and Stupid News with your host, Mr. Mike Schilling.
It always comes back to poop, doesn't it? Always comes back to
Bodily
Florida.
fluids. If it's not things coming out of your body, it's Florida. And sometimes it's both.
Yes. Man, good times. Well, tonight we're going to talk about the trailer of Mandalorian 3. It's going to be coming out, and I believe in March.
March 1st, I believe.
That's right. Let's see here real quick.
Yes, just a little over a week. 1st.
Exactly. I'm excited about it.
A week from Wednesday.
Yeah, exactly. I think, I don't know if you had a chance to watch the trailer, then if you haven't had a chance, go ahead and check it out and come back and see us. Yeah. And again, this is a spoiler alert if you have not seen up till now. And like most of the Star Wars shows, they kind of do this kind of almost like a Marvel kind of cross-arching play story.
Yes.
So
lots of connected parts.
So first, what's your thoughts about the trailer?
What is my thought about the trailer?
Yeah.
My thought about the trailer is you better have watched the Book of Boba Fett, the middle of the Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah.
Those Mandalorian, 2 episodes,
the
Mandalorian 2.5.
2.5, yes.
You better have watched those 2 episodes, or some of this is not going to make sense.
It's not going to make any sense.
That is one of my first thoughts.
I am amazed how much hate the Book of Boba Fett got. Is it? I mean, this is not the show topic, but what did you think about the Book of Boba Fett?
I thought it was fine. I thought there were some odd choices.
Yeah,
things I wouldn't have done.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't horrific. I've seen so much
horrific.
Worse.
Yeah,
I mean, there's a Star Wars holiday special.
That's true, but but I mean, comparing that to any universe, whether it's DC or Marvel, I mean, really anything, compared to that, it's not really fair. But
yeah, it's not. I mean, I thought the Book of Boba Fett was fine.
I did too. But
I thought it was, some parts were really good, some parts were not very good.
Yeah.
The fact that they basically just put 2 episodes of The Mandalorian in there in the middle was odd.
Kind of tells you something.
Yeah, it definitely was one of those. Either we don't have enough content, or we really need to get this in here somehow, and we don't want to wait till next season, which seemed odd as well. I don't know.
Or we know that we can't carry an entire show just with this. That we need to put in
that.
We need to put some Ahsoka and Luke and some of this other stuff in there. So
or that they've just got a contract with Pedro Pascal that says he has to be in things.
Exactly. We want our money's worth, basically. But leading into that, it looks like it starts off as, of course, in we're going to call it Mandalorian 2.5.
Yes.
And we'll call it 2.5, folks, which basically it's the last several episodes of the Book of Boba Fett. But the big thing in all of this is that because the Mandalorian has revealed himself, that he's taken his helmet off, that he
Yes.
basically dishonors his clan, and then he has to go and get forgiveness of this sin, or of this, infraction that he's made upon his clan. And so he goes back to Mandalore, which Mandalore is, homeland is, I think is, from my understanding, suffered a lot in the hands of the Empire previous to the New
Yes.
Republic. And
And
still
some of
there,
that happened
yeah,
in is it the Clone Wars series
I believe
that happened
so.
in?
Yes. Well, also in the Mandalorian, he had some flashbacks
Yes.
about what happened. And of course, you see, and it seems like to me, from when reading and going through the trailer, is that a lot of people believe in one of the trailers that he's actually trying to reunite the Mandalorians. Uh, and
Could be.
so, I mean, there was a lot in this film to break down. You see, because basically, the big thing is that, there was a reunion of a lot of different actors that came back. Um, it talked about, of course, we all know Grogu, and
Yes.
Din is back. You know, um, there's a lot of going on behind the scenes. A lot of your actors are back. Let's see here, who's all back on the show, Mr. Ricky Pope.
I don't have my IMDb
Oh,
pulled up.
oh my goodness! I have
So
I worked over this hot stove of notes here. Yes, we're gonna have Carl Withers will be back. Weathers, I
yes.
mean, who will play. Oh yeah, and Katie Sackhoff, who plays the Bo-Katan, fellow Mandalorian seeking out the dark saber. So we still have the dark saber going on too.
Yes.
Which right now Din still has, if I'm not mistaken. Or did he ever give
Yes.
it? Yes.
He attempted to give it back, and Bo-Katan wouldn't take it.
Wouldn't take it because apparently you have to win it in battle to the death.
Which is a little weird because previously she had taken it from somebody else.
She has taken it from someone
but
else.
it was her sister. I don't remember the whole story. But it is a little complicated there.
It is complicated. Of course, Carl Weathers
yes.
will return as Grief Karga, the head of the Bounty Hunter Guild. I will Giancarlo Espestio is going to play Moff Gideon again, the former Imperial officer. He will be back. Sidaris and Swallow will again play the mechanic Paley Motto and the armorer in this. So
yes,
a lot of these folks will be coming back to that. So
are we going to see Ming Na? What? Are we going to see Fennec Shan? I don't know that we saw her in the trailer.
No, we did not.
So I'm curious as to whether she's coming back.
Now, interesting. Let's see here. Within the let's see here. There's a lot of if you watch some of the video, there was some interesting stuff. It goes back. It looks like we're doing flashbacks to at the Jedi Temple.
Yeah, I'm super confused on some of this. Some of it's like, is this a flashback for the Jedi Temple? And then there's a couple of shots of the Mandalorians that I'm like, is this current day or is this a flashback?
Well, yeah, I mean, because originally the Jedis and the Mandalorians, they were at conflict with each other for the longest time. But it looks like, to me, it looks familiar to me.
It feels more like a Jedi Temple than it does the Mandalorians.
Well, it reminds me of the flashbacks that Grogu had in the second Mandalorian. And that's how we found out more and more that he was actually, was in the temple and he was rescued. He was taken away before he would become,
So you
under.
think we're going to finally see his rescue?
I don't know. It'd be interesting to see who rescued him,
Yeah.
um, because someone had to, and who would have that been? So we'll see. Also, too, I don't. There was one scene where it looked like the cantina from Lost Mosley had a bunch of
Most
robots in
Eisley?
it. Isley, yes, thank you.
Yes, except it's all robots. It's the it's the opposite.
It's the opposite. No humans are allowed in it.
Yes, no humans are allowed in it.
Navarro. Now Navarro is a different place now. It seems to me that now it's
Is
more of a
Carl Weathers in
refuge.
charge?
That's what it looks like. Grief Karga, who appears to be the new leader of this world's main city of Navarro. And so it seems like a safe haven for all kinds of people, from my understanding. And so, of course, we talked about, the cantina where there's nothing but droids in there. It's almost,
Yes.
it's almost like the opposite from New Hope, where droids don't belong in here. But
Yes.
it'd be interesting if in this scene someone walks in and the droid says humans are not allowed in here. So that would be
We don't like your kind here.
That's right. But also there's several things we look at. There's a scene that looks like to me is Mandalorian. It's
Yes.
the
My understanding of this is supposed to be the domed city on Mandalore.
which if you can, which many of you, of course, you're listening on the podcast, you're not going to be able to see, but if you look at the trailer, you can tell that it was bombed out, and of course,
Yes.
they talk about in the 2.5, on the Mandalorian, the Great Purge,
Yes.
and there was like a flashback where you saw the Empire just carpet bombing the planet, and so. And that's what I think is interesting because it has a lot to do. I mean, we see in the trailer where eventually there's a battle, and you'll see tons of Mandalorians together in battle, and it doesn't look like a flashback.
That was my question at first when I was watching it. But people who have investigated this a little more than I have, seem to think that this is not a flashback, that this is current day. Now, where they're fighting, I'm not sure.
I had one scene, and at first I had to look twice because we go back to Coruscant, and you see in one of the trailers, you see the city of Coruscant, which is a callback. Of course, the last time we saw Coruscant was in the Clone Wars. And apparently this is where the capital of the New Republic is at now. Coruscant has been the main throughout the entire series, is kind of been the capital, whether it was the old Republic to the Republic, to the Empire, and now the New Republic now.
Is it possible that it's not Coruscant?
From what I've understanding, and for people who's been researching,
okay,
that's the name that's coming up.
Okay.
They're calling it the Galactic Capital, and they're making reference to that scene. Interesting in that scene, and I had to figure out who this guy was in one of the. It looks like in one of the ships, I guess it would just one of the traffic ships in Coruscant. That is, from my understanding, Dr. Pershing is back.
Okay.
And that's what I've read from one of the breakdowns from one of the other blogs out there. So Dr. Pershing, he was the Imperial scientist behind the Empire cloning of Experiment. So, so it'd be interesting why he is back. If this is the capital Coruscant, what is he doing there? So there's a lot of mystery involved, but there's also a scene too that's interesting where apparently the Empire is, or whatever this is, the remnants of the Empire.
Yes.
Apparently they they're kind of it seems like they're kind of um, what's the right word? I want,
Emerging
yeah,
again,
emerging. Yeah, kind of.
re-emerging. Yeah, I
Yes.
don't know. I saw this and I was like, wait, those are Imperial TIE fighters. So is this part of Moff Gideon's group? Or are we starting to get into the First Order?
See, and that's the thing I'm trying to figure out too. I mean, I have a feeling there's different factions. I have
Could
this
be.
feeling there are different factions left over of the Empire, and you have these different leaders trying to fill the void. And of
Mm.
course, we all know that Admiral Thrawn has been mentioned in the past several
Yes.
shows. Now, whether he's actually going to show up on this, I don't know. I know that with the Ahsoka series, that Thrawn is supposed to be, from my understanding, he might be the main baddie in that because
Yeah, that seems to be the expectation. I doubt we're going to see Thrawn here.
I
I
agree
could
with you
see
on that.
Thrawn being mentioned,
Yes,
but
exactly.
I don't see him being a major player.
Yeah,
I feel like this is more likely to be Moff Gideon's deal. Maybe he
yeah,
escaped.
yeah,
Um, but when we saw last time we saw him, he was
yeah.
being drug off by the Republic to be
Exactly.
tried. But so do we see him escape and come back? That's a big question mark. Because I almost feel like this is one of those. I feel like there's too many bad guys again.
I do
You know,
too. There's not a real focus on what's going on. I think this almost seems like there's a combination of a redemption story for Din, but also what's lurking in the shadows with the
mhm.
Empire. One of and I can't remember the actor's name, but he plays Carson Tever, and if you remember who he is, Carson Tever was
Yes,
one of the New Republic fighters.
yes,
He's first introduced, I believe, in I think was the first Mandalorian he was
yes,
introduced in when him and Dave Filoni, who actually played the second New Republic
yes.
fighter, actually was chasing Din and the crest, which now the crest is no longer existing,
No
and
longer there.
my crest Lego set now I had to throw up against the wall so it would be authentic. So and I refused to buy the Naboo N1 because something's going to happen to it as soon as I buy it. I'm not
You
going to
don't want
do
to.
it.
You don't want to get the
No,
hot rod Naboo
no,
fighter, starfighter.
no, not going to do it. Not going to do it. But anyhow, this whole time, like Captain Tever, he, we know when we finish this, right? Captain Tever he knows that something is not right in the outer ring.
Yes,
He knows something is not right, just from the rumors, and he's one of those people that are he's kind of his assignment is to basically enforce the New Republic out in the outer
yes,
ring. Just enforce the law, and of course, the New Republic doesn't have a really strong hand on the outer ring, and
right.
neither did the Empire because of what it
True.
is. And so I believe that's where the Empire or the New Order, whatever you want to call it, is a perfect place for them to reband or to have something else merge in the shadows. And so, and even in the trailer, he talks to Din about this. He
Yes.
says there's, something needs to be stopped because there's something going on. And if we don't do something about it, and I don't know if he's referring to what's happening in the outer rim, the rumors of something building, like a new order or the return of the empire. I don't know.
So
I
are we
mean,
going to get a explanation for somehow the emperor has returned?
oh my goodness, I think we just recant that. I think we just kind of forget that ever happened. But there is some stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
that was actually my biggest gripe. Well, we're not talking about the trilogies. Well, Yeah, we're not going to talk about that. But it's interesting because, of course, now what are they going to do with Cara Dune?
Cara Dune,
Cara Dune.
I don't know. I think
Are they
probably
going to?
she's done.
I mean,
Cara Dune is probably Cara done.
but are they going to make reference or just forget like she never existed?
I bet we just forget she ever existed.
That's sad, but I think you're right.
Yeah, it is sad, and I do think I'm right.
I don't, we don't get political here. I just thought to myself, a lot of times, a lot of time people are wanting a very strong female character, and that definitely was a strong female character that had a lot
Yes,
of potential. And
absolutely.
I'm disappointed that she's no longer a part of it, no matter whatever happened. But
Yeah,
I
and
thought it was a very good character.
coming out of wrestling,
Yeah,
there's kind of two directions when you come out of wrestling to become an actor.
yeah,
You generally either are really good or you're
yeah.
really bad. And I don't know, maybe not really good, but she's definitely headed that way.
Well,
She didn't
she was an
she did,
MMA fighter.
That's true.
Yeah, she
That's
was. I
true.
mean, it was actually a sport.
True. True. And she was a pretty decent actress.
Yeah,
She has some acting chops. So
yeah.
I was looking forward to see what else she could do in the
I agree
Star
with that.
Wars realm, but I don't think we'll see her back.
I think we also find out too that through the trailer, we found out Grogu is stronger in the Force.
That does appear to be true.
Yeah,
And not
and
afraid to use it.
no, and be interesting whether or not Grogu, because in the first two Mandalorians, it took a lot of energy out of Grogu, and it was as soon as he used the Force, he had to muster it up.
Yes.
He was so drained he had to sleep after that.
Yep.
And I wonder if
Doesn't
that
look
has
like that's the
changed.
case here.
It may not be. It doesn't seem that way to me.
That'll be
Doesn't seem
interesting.
He doesn't seem very intimidated. Nisla in the scene that it showed in the trailer.
Yeah, I think that's going to depend on. I wonder if that's going to depend on how they're writing. Like,
Hmm.
there are times where he just can just use it, and it's like no big deal. And then there are other times where he uses it and he's just exhausted.
Yeah, I believe we have the. I think we're going to have a lot. I mean, do you have any thoughts about any surprises that might come out of this? I mean, I agree with you that Thrawn is not going to be introduced in this. I think that's going to be saved for the Ahsoka series. That's my personal opinion.
Yeah.
Of course, we talked about this book of Boba Fett, and we thought there's no way they were going to put in the Mandalorian and tell this whole story within the last 3 episodes of the series, and they did that. But I mean, any thoughts on that?
Well, so here's a couple of thoughts. And part of this is I don't know the story enough. Like I need to make sure I'm right on things. Like how long does Bo-Katan stay around?
Yeah,
Is she going to take the um take the dark saber, and is she going to take over Mandalore, the
yeah,
leadership of Mandalore?
yeah.
Is she going to rebuild Mandalore? Is she going to unite the factions in some way? Because Mandalore has had civil wars for years. The different factions.
Hmm.
She even tells, well, in the trailer, she even says something about, you know, your faction basically, uh, you know, you turned your back on us or whatever. I don't know how she says it, but she basically says that things don't go well because of your faction.
Exactly. Yeah,
So, like, So my big question is, number one, is she going to survive this season,
Well, that's true.
or is
I
she
mean,
going to give herself triumph? Is she going to have a um, one of those dramatic death scenes
yeah,
where she saves everyone at the last minute?
and that could be.
So
That could be.
I feel like it would be nice if she was still around. It would be nice if she took over Mandalore, but I don't know that that's where they're going to go. I don't think Din needs to do it. I think
No,
that would be a mistake.
that would be a mistake. That's not his role, and I think
No,
it would. Yeah. Oh, what do you
I
think?
think
You think? I mean, I part of me is wondering too if there's a part of me, and I'm guessing this is a guessing. Okay, Din wants to have redemption,
yes,
because he removed his helmet, and
yes,
that's how fanatic the sect is.
and I think as far as the writing goes, as far
Yeah,
as Din is concerned, that is his only goal.
exactly. He
Everything
wants
else that
redemption.
happens, there are going to be other things that happen
Yeah.
that he's going to have to insert himself into,
Hmm.
but that is not why he is there, and he never wanted to do it.
Do you
He
think
just
eventually?
will feel obligated to help.
I have this weird feeling, and I may be totally wrong. And again, I wonder whether when we get close to the end, whether or not Din finds himself, is there a reason to redeem myself in this situation? Because we think about it, the whole idea of him taking the helmet off, he took the helmet off. Well, he did it, of course, in the first Mandalorian, but it was a AI. It was a robot. It was a
Right.
droid. The second time he did it was for Grogu,
Yes.
and he revealed himself. Of course, when he did that, he revealed himself to Luke and everybody else in
Right.
that scene. Um, is the love for Grogu so great that he decides in all of this something happens that tugs on him and go, I can be a Mandalorian without having to be this fanatic, you
What
know.
is his group called?
Let's see here. Mandalorian
Children
reunions.
of the Watch.
Children of the Watch. Well, I knew Watch
An
was in it.
Orthodox cult. Okay.
Okay.
So, since he's part of the Children of the Watch,
Okay.
I think the only thing that would cause him to not, restore his position there would be if the Children of the Watch did something that made him realize there's something wrong with that group.
Yeah.
If that
Because
happened, I think he could decide to separate from them at that point.
I mean, do you think there was because part of it too, I mean, the major part of this also has to do is the returns of the Mandalorians, and of course there's the sect, of course, and then of course there's also the Mandalorians who are not part of the sect that
Right.
have no reason. They don't believe there's any dishonor taking their helmet off, of course.
Bo-Katan's group.
Bo-Katan's group. So, and to be able, part of me wonders that if Den is trying to reunite all of them together against a common enemy, and that's going to be a trial within itself, trying to get these two factions to work together for the common good.
See, I don't think that the way they've written this character,
Yeah.
I don't think he would care.
Oh yeah.
I don't think he would have any. He has no notion of trying to bring the two groups together. And he wouldn't have any reason to.
That's true.
He wants to restore himself to the group that saved his life, that
Okay.
took care of him, that helped him all the way through.
Mm-hmm.
Bo-Katan, on the other hand,
Yeah,
would want to see everybody brought back under one umbrella.
that's true.
Um,
I think another decision too, with the children of the watch for Din would probably be the acceptance of the child
yes.
of Grogu. I believe if something happens in there where Grogu somehow is treated unfairly, or he has to be, because I don't see Grogu wearing a helmet. Okay, I don't see that
Yes.
happening. Okay, and if he is a Jedi, is there a this underlying hatred towards the Jedi's within that sect because it goes back, the conflict way
So
back.
so I read a super bizarre idea.
Hmm.
I read it and I was like, no way. But it does kind of make sense. Okay, so here's
Hmm.
the thought. Here's the idea. At one time, the reason the dark saber exists is because there was a force sensitive Mandalorian. He was a Jedi Mandalorian who brought the whole Mandalorian world together. He was the one guy who was able to make it all happen.
Hmm.
And when he was gone, everything fell apart.
Hmm.
What if, so this is the theory, that the Mandalorian is not actually Din. The Mandalorian is actually Grogu, and Grogu becomes the new Jedi Mandalorian who unites everyone again.
Okay, yeah.
You not buying,
I
not
I
buying
don't.
that?
I'm not buying that. I'm not buying that. That
I
that would
told
be
you it's a stretch.
yeah. I understand where he's going with it. I just don't see little Grogu being the leader of the great Mandalorian race.
And
So yeah,
swinging the dark saber around.
yeah, I don't see that happening. I don't see that happening.
I don't see that
So
happening either. I don't.
no,
I think well, and Din has already attempted to give the dark saber back to Bo-Katan.
yeah, because he really
He
doesn't
doesn't
seem like
want the
he
leadership.
doesn't want it.
He
No,
doesn't want the position. So he has no interest in that.
no.
I really feel like this has to be a deal where, yeah, he's going back. He's gonna go and redeem himself. And I think there will be some big event that will cause him to realize he doesn't need to do that.
No.
That he just needs to be his own thing.
Yeah.
That he and Grogu are their own clan now, and they don't need to be part of anything else.
And that's how I that's my hope, and I think that might be the direction. I mean, that's kind of what I'm thinking of. I think something is going to happen. This is just my prediction. Something's going to happen in the end where he's having to make a choice between Grogu and make a choice of, is it worth having to go through this trial or this redemption at the
Yeah.
very last minute? He's going to have to. I think really he's going to have to choose between that clan and him and Grogu. I so
I
that's
think
my
so.
yeah. So
Any other big revelations you think we're
I
going to see?
no, I think it's I kind of feel like it's going to be kind of the same thing. I mean, I don't mean that as a bad thing. I just think I don't you know I don't know if there's going to be any big reveals. Maybe they do. Maybe there's some big reveals at the end that I mean that will lead us into some of the other series.
Mm.
You have any thoughts about that? Do you think we
Um, maybe something that leads us into Ahsoka, but I don't think it'll be a major plot point for the series.
No, I don't think so
I
either.
think it might be a plot point for an episode
Yeah.
where, Din Djarin stumbles upon something.
Yeah.
He didn't mean to. He wasn't looking for it. He
Yeah.
stumbles upon something that points to something we're going to see in Ahsoka. I could see that.
Yeah, I can too. I think I can see something that will kind of a type and shadow of
Yeah.
something about to come.
Yeah. I could see that. Um, I honestly, I think the biggest reveal is going to be we're going to find out Moff Gideon
Mm-hmm.
didn't get to trial, that he
Yeah,
escaped.
I agree, and I think we're going to learn a little bit more about what darkness is rising within the New Republic. That the New Republic is, I don't know, they have their head in the sand, or if there's already some infiltration within the New Republic because it's so weak.
Could be. I think it's going to be more of we're just spread so thin we didn't see this coming.
Yeah, exactly.
Some of us saw this coming,
Yeah,
but we weren't important enough to get to the right people.
exactly. Which is funny because if you look at some of the books that was created, and I think it was Timothy Thon who did the book too, and I think it was, I can't remember the series. Maybe it was
To the heir to the Empire one.
Heir of the Empire one. It talks about Princess Leia, Han Solo. They're on Coruscant. Han Solo, he has a bad feeling about this being in Coruscant. Um, you know, Leia with her own Jedi type of, you know, force within her.
Yeah.
They have this weird feeling that, you know, actually, of all people, Han Solo says, "Is it smart to have the capital back here at Croissant? I love croissants.
Croissant.
My goodness,
At Coruscant.
Coruscant, and because this is where it all began." And I remember reading that, and I thought, interesting insight from Han Solo.
Yeah.
But, and so, yeah, I think the new Republic is struggling, and I think, like you said, they're so thin, and there's so much happening that, you know, there's this mystery, this darkness is taking advantage of the situation.
Yeah.
And and I had a problem too.
And
yeah, go ahead.
I know you didn't want to talk about the sequels.
Yeah, we're going to.
I definitely think that's where I think we are. I don't think the sequels are what season 3 is going to be about.
No, I don't think so. But
I think we will see little nuggets and Easter eggs that point to.
Yeah, I think so too. You know, I mean, and I was, you know, the sequels, which was always interesting to me, is interesting to me because it starts off where there's a resistance. And I thought, but they're still the New Republic.
Yeah.
And the New Republic is oblivious to what's going on, but there's a resistance, but the New Republic has to have an army. There's so much confusion there to me, wondering, okay, what's actually going on? You have these resistance who recognize a threat that the New Republic don't.
I think that's really what the point was.
Yeah. So, and of course, you know, they had a weapon that basically destroyed 50 planets like that, you know, so that was nice.
You know, because
yeah,
one Death Star is not enough.
No, no. But anyway, I digress. But no, I look forward to seeing The Mandalorian, and it comes
big
out
question,
March 1st. Yes.
Do you think there will be a season 4? Or do you think this will be the final?
Well, I think Disney likes money, so it depends how. I think we might be looking at another season. I know it's a good question. It's a very good question. I don't know.
I feel like if they do this season correctly, it could be a nice wrap up.
Yeah. Yeah, it could be. And
I
it
mean,
would make sense.
I think they could do a fourth season, but I think if they did it right, this could be a nice stopping spot.
Well, I agree with that. If they do it right, and it doesn't mean that the character can't cross over to some of the other shows that are
Oh,
coming out,
exactly.
and I think that would be smart as well.
Yeah.
And I can see that as far as that goes, because I mean, there's a point in the New Republic where some of these characters are going to have to kind of fade in the background,
Yeah.
and so I could see that. I could see this being the last episode, the last season, if again, if they do it nice, if they do it right.
Yeah.
So
What about a Bo-Katan series?
I don't know. I don't, for some reason I don't see it, and I don't know. I don't see it. I mean, we know the acrolytes. That's going to be something. I have a feeling too that we might focus on some more pre stuff. You know, acrolytes is something. You know, it's pre Republic, pre Old Republic. There's some other stuff that's coming out that almost. I mean, so many different Star Wars you know, shows are in production or in the middle of being written, and they're kind of all over the place.
Yeah.
And so I'm not for sure. I'm sure we're going to continue the New Republic story. I mean, we'll have that with Ahsoka. I'm trying to think of some other series. They had one called The Crew.
Skeleton Crew.
Skeleton Crew. That was one.
Yeah.
Again, but we still don't know much about it. We don't know where it's going to.
We know they're going to be kids with an adult leader. That's the most I really understand about that show.
But it's live action, isn't it?
Yes.
My understanding.
Yes.
Okay. And then we're already talked about that. Yeah, there'll be acolytes and what others. Let's take a look at real quick before we end the show. Kind of what we're looking at on Star Wars series that's going to be coming up. That is related to the actual, you know, Mandalorian New Republic timeline. Let's see if there's anything out there that might, because the one show I was hoping they were going to do, of course, you know, Cara Dune is no longer there, and they were going to do the Rangers of the New Republic,
yes,
which is now defunct, which is sad. That would have been, and I think they could have still.
There's going to be an Andor season 2.
Okay, which is going to be still pre New Hope,
right? Supposedly there was supposed to be a Lando series with Donald Glover, but I don't know if that's going to happen.
Yeah, because Kathleen Kennedy made a comment about how they didn't want to take, didn't want to reboot actors. And reboot is not the right word, but taking actors currently portraying, the actors from before.
And the last note that I see about that show is back from 2020.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I think Kathleen Kennedy made that announcement back in 21. So,
and then there's,
I think it's sad because I really like her. I really like Donald.
Yeah. Then there's the rumored new trilogy.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's going to, I mean, if that's going to happen, I bet we're a ways off from that.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And I don't see anything else that we haven't already discussed.
Kind of makes me, yeah. So, I mean, I know there's a bunch of other stuff coming up, but
I mean, there's a Young Jedi Adventures animated series, but that's not really.
No, it's not carrying the. No, I mean, I think it sounds like the biggest show that's coming up that's going to continue the New Republic.
Yeah, it's going to be Ahsoka.
The Post Return of the Jedi.
I mean, Tika Waititi
So
is supposed to be working on a Star Wars movie, but it's in
really,
development. Oh, Rogue Squadron.
now I was excited about that, but then from my
It
understanding that was cut too.
at least put on the shelf for a little while. I every once in a while I hear somebody mention it
Yeah.
like it's still a possibility, but I don't. I think it's probably a long way off.
Well, I really would like, and that makes me sad too, because, I think of Kathleen Kennedy, what she said about, you know, going back and playing younger roles of, for instance, like Harrison Ford's, Han Solo and, Billy D. Williams, Lando. And I think, I think that's wrong. I think you can get
Yeah,
some really good actors. I think
I
both
think so.
actors, I think Solo was underrated. I think
Yes,
it was a nice,
it was a
it
base hit. It was not a
was,
home run.
yes, wasn't a home run. I enjoyed it. Uh, you know,
Well, this
I
article from IGN
yeah.
mentions, and this was just updated a few days ago.
Mm-hmm.
It mentions the possibility of a Boba Fett season 2, a Kevin Feige Star Wars movie.
Mm-hmm.
That's his status unknown.
Yeah.
um, and let's see. Oh, this says Ryan Johnson's Star Wars trilogy is reportedly canceled.
Oh, really? Okay.
That's what IGN is saying
Okay.
as of the
Okay.
12th of January. So
Gotcha. Because that's
8 days ago.
actually okay. Wow, that was wow.
That was
Okay.
short lived.
That was short lived. Wow, because that was supposed to be the next big trilogy.
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
So I don't know.
I don't know either. That is something else. So yeah, scratch the trilogy right now. I mean, right now there's nothing that I can think of. Now, it sounds like, for instance, if John Favreau is working on a movie and then Watiki is doing one, you're looking at some of these single films like Rogue One,
Yeah.
and Solo and some of these. And I could see that happening, but how well do you think they're going to do in the movie theaters? Do you think most of this will be more streaming content?
That's a little unknown. Rogue Squadron, as I understand, was supposed to be a movie and was going to go directly to Disney Plus. It was not going to be an in-theater movie ever.
Yeah, which ended up it did. So
Which
yeah.
ended up dead. Yeah, this says it's still in development, but
Oh, no, you're talking about Rogue Squadron, right?
yes, Rogue Squadron.
Not, I'm sorry, I was thinking Rogue One. Okay.
Sorry, yeah, Rogue Squadron is supposed to
Yeah.
be streaming only. It wasn't
Yeah.
going to be a theater release.
Gotcha.
So we'll have to wait and see on that.
Okay. I got that.
I'm gonna have to go here in a minute.
That's okay. That's all right.
Anything else?
I can't think of anything else. I think we covered everything we can. I look forward to it right now. The Bad Batch series, I think
Yes.
just did its 4th episode. I haven't seen the 4th one yet, so I'm gonna.
Did you see the 3rd one?
I saw the 3rd one. It was really good.
Super dark, and it was so good.
It was dark and good. Exactly.
Yes.
So that might be something we talk about when the series is over and kind of go over some of that. There's a lot of good stuff
Absolutely.
in it. And so, but yeah, we have hit past the hour mark, and I think it's time to say goodbye. Remember, folks, we are on speakingnerdy.com. You can get our audio podcasts from any of your favorite audio podcast platforms. We also, you can watch or listen. We're on the YouTubes, and so you can catch us again. Anything you want to find on our content is on speakingnerdy.com. And we'll be back next week, my friends. So show up and have any comments, leave some comments, and any suggestions, do the same.
Absolutely.
That's it, my friend.
welcome to Speaking Dirty Podcast with your host, Mr. Mike Schilling.
And my good friend and compadre, Mr. Ricky Poe. Are we done?
I think we're done.
We've been done a long time ago.